Good morning, campers. Happy Friday the 13th. National Yes. Go check out that scary noise in the dark day. Stay safe. Don't get stabbed. I wanted to talk about this for a while, doing Uber today, but it just seemed to pop up as I just found out that I broke my highest single tip amount record on a drive where the user is Uber Comfort, so they can send you some preferences ahead of time that they like the car cool, they want it to be quiet, or they like to chat, whatever, right? I think that's amazing, and I love that they can do that. I wish it was available on all types of rides, just because I like to provide people the service they want. But I think a lot of drivers screw this up, and I think a lot of passengers have a terrible expectation of the Uber driver just needs to shut up and drive. We're people too, right? We're human beings. But at the same time, I think drivers need to be more aware, and sometimes not everyone is as socially apt as others, and they don't take cues and read very easy, but what's interesting is this ride today, I actually did the exact opposite of what her setting said, and ended up with the highest tip I've ever got. So I chat most of my rides. I've had a few passengers where I've seen that they want it quiet. Awesome. I love to know that. Go ahead. I give a nice greeting, say, if there's anything I can do, change the temperature, turn the music down, change the station, whatever. I'm happy to do it. And then I shut up and let them do their thing. And a lot of times they're working or whatever, or just enjoying silence. It's great. I love it. But my default is to, just be polite, ask some open, easy-ended questions of, hey, what are you in town for? A lot of times people obviously have a suitcase, coming or going, visiting for fun, whatever. And you can read this pretty easy by, if they're engaging you in an even tone conversation back and not just short one-word answers, they're usually open to conversation. But if their answer's like, no, I'm here for work, and they're just staring at their phone, or they're obviously not talking in a normal conversational tone, you can keep going. But obviously pay attention to, are they just looking at their phone, right? Do they not kind of look up and look your way when they say something? And if they're not speaking in complete sentences, that's your cue to shut your mouth. So she sent over the preference that she liked it quiet and cool. So, right, I lowered the temperature. I usually keep the car pretty cold because when they open the doors, it's Austin, it's hot, we lose all the cold. But anyways, we talked the entire 29-minute ride. And I had it in my head that the whole time that, man, she said she wanted it quiet, but she is very chatty. We had a great talk about a ton of things. She has little kids. My kids are a little older. We talked about parenting and a whole bunch of things. And it was a really great conversation. Like, it really makes the job worthwhile when you can have those really amazing conversations. And so she was obviously very happy with it because she tipped me higher than anyone else ever has. And so I think that a lot of drivers that don't get a lot of tips don't worry about customer service. They don't worry about being personal and approachable. They don't pay attention to the cues of their passenger. And so I definitely think that, being able to read your customer is important. Being able to watch their cues. But the biggest one is if they're watching their phone, again, short answers. If they sound like they're being curt, let it go, right? Just drive the car and, wish them well, help them with their bags, whatever. But, if they engage you in full conversations back, if they're giving you full sentences and they're looking up towards you, that's a decent sign to continue. I think a lot of times female drivers are much more naturally conversational and do a better time talking, especially even to male passengers. I think that a lot of times men struggle to talk with female passengers. A lot of it is some female passengers are just flat out wary of the strange dude driving this car, right? And so, I think the biggest thing that, catches males up is seeming creepy. And there's a big difference between asking a simple question like, hey, what are you in town for? Versus, what are you doing tonight? Right? The first one is perfectly fine. The second one is an absolute don't ever say it. Women are always thinking about, those rare random instances where an Uber driver has done something wrong, where they've stalked someone or God forbid something worse. And so, a question like that will instantly set up some red flags for them and shut them down. And, anyone you make nervous or scared or concerned or any of that, there goes your tip rating. And, for me, like tips if I average all of my hours out, it's probably 15% of my income. But if I average my 20 best hours, it's at least 25% of that income. When I'm super busy, on the busy days, it absolutely makes a huge difference. And so you can work for those, or you can just write them off and say, the passengers are cheap. And that's not true. It's a you problem. Absolutely is a you problem. But, being able to have a conversation without creeping them out and making you seem like you're picking up on them is absolutely key. One of the things I've noticed is I check my rear view mirror all the time. I keep an inventory of all the cars around me all the time. And I've noticed when I do that, sometimes I'll catch a female passenger like catching my eye in the mirror. And I worry that, are they thinking I'm like checking them out on the mirror? Because that's not what I'm doing. But most of the time, right, a passenger will sit on the passenger side of the rear seat, and that's right in the line of sight of where I'm looking. And so, that's always a thought in my brain, is I need to keep track of the cars because I want to make sure that I'm safe and I keep my passenger safe. But at the same time, can I do that out of the side mirror, just to make sure someone's not made to feel uncomfortable? And I think that's an absolute big part of it. I see a lot of people online that whine and cry about how much Lyft pays them and passengers that are cheap, right? I'm sorry, I don't buy it. It's a you problem. Sitting there with a 4.7 rating with a full 500 drive record, that's a you problem. If you're not getting rides, you're in the wrong place. Now, you could live in a dead market. That's possible. Right, and I live in Austin. It's an oversaturated market. There's way too many drivers per rider. But, and then, so Thursday, Friday, Saturday are super heavy days. And so I always drive those days. Mondays and Sundays are slower days. I don't drive them unless I have nothing else going on, because I'll be waiting longer between rides, no matter where I go. But being in the right place, in the right times, is 100% going to make a difference in if you're getting rides or not. You can't just turn on the queue and expect them to deliver them to you like you're a customer, because you're not. They're trying to match passengers with the closest driver. And if you're just sitting in a bad spot for that, you're not going to be the closest driver. And I think that's something that a lot of people overlook way too often. They don't take the time to think about this as a business, to think about what they can do to make it better. I've heard a lot of people try to say, well, you just rides are what you are. They're either there or they're not. And I mean, okay, sure, I'm going to say that I've not driven in every market in the world, honestly. I've only ever driven in Austin. It's a metropolitan market. Like most, it's oversaturated. But if I sit on, the east side of town, the poor side of town, way out from anything else, I'm not going to get rides. Whereas if I go downtown or to the university, I'm going to get more rides. And to me, it's freaking obvious. But a lot of people, they just don't think about it. And they just really want the rides fed to them on a silver spoon. And so, right now we have all the stuff with the AB5 in California going on and people crying that they're not making enough. And overall, I don't disagree that Uber and Lyft have digging way deeper in this cookie jar than they ever have. The shares the drivers who paid are lower than they've ever been. But I still think that a lot of people's crying about their earnings is rooted in themselves. It's rooted in the way the process they use when they drive. It's rooted in their outlook and their philosophy on how they approach their business. And so, you can choose to go after it, or you can choose to wait for it. And people that wait for it are going to get left behind. And that's on you, man. That's on you. So, that's what I've got for today. I run a Facebook page, Thomas of Aurelius, as well, and then a group called Dad on a Dime that's for helping, where I share, I guess. I'm helping anybody. It doesn't have to be a dad. Single mom, single dad, college student, I don't care. Someone that needs help with bills, whatever. It's sharing the things that work for me to help, keep my budget in the black, to help earn that extra money to be where I want to be. So it's, I'll put anything out there from, parenting conversations to, banking, the banking methods I use, budgeting, obviously, a lot of content on the gig economy. But in the hopes that it helps somebody else out. I'm doing this in the car. There's road noise. This is not high quality. I'm not trying to be a YouTube personality. I'm just trying to help people. I'm here in the car. If I wasn't on this video right now, I'd just be listening to the radio. And so it's kind of like some dead time that maybe I can put some help out there. If this does help you, if you said, oh man, I didn't think of that way, I love to hear that. That's what I do this for. If you could put a comment, let me know. That's what I want more than anything. I don't care about having a ton of followers. I think I've got 30, 40 on my Facebook. I think I have 5, maybe it's 4 on YouTube. I don't care. That's not my goal. That's not why I do this. I don't want to be a YouTube famous person and whatever. That's just not my speed. I'm not going to give you perfectly polished videos and sales pitches and any of that. I just want to try to help people if I can, right? So anyways, I've been ranting too long. I'm totally going to edit the shit out of this. But Thomas Aurelius on Facebook. There's a group also you can search up called Dad on a Dime. And I'll upload more content like this and helping anyone that can stay in the black in this economy right now. Thanks for your time and drive safe.